I wrote this article as the first of several blog posts I submitted as guest posts, and they were accepted on a website called africanbusinesscommunities.com, and there was another one called I think Nigerian Business Communities or something like that. There were two websites. So it's, as you can see from your screen, it's titled 5 Proven Ways to Boost Farm Profits Without Raising Prices. I wrote it in about, I think they published it on the 27th of August 2012. Well, many years, that's about 10 years ago now, and I found it funny. For a period, the URL kept changing, and I had to keep updating my blog to be able to link to it. So in the bottom of this video, I'm going to give you a link to the current the URL to the current location. It hasn't changed for a while now. So, but let me just quickly share with you what the 5 ways. If you're a farm business owner, these are very practical, and you're going to hear me give examples. So it's not just an academic exercise. This is actually based on real life farm business experience. So if you run a farm business, or you are planning to start a farm business of your own, if you look at what's happening in today's economy, you need to understand that if you want to make profits, then you need to look for ways to lower your costs of operation beyond the sales you are going to make, because even selling is a problem on its own, because people have limited purchasing power today, and therefore if you want to offer them something, the closer you get it to what the price they are hoping it will be is, the better it will be for you to make your sale. So this is not about assumptions. These are actually practical. They are tested and proven, and they are actually applicable to other businesses as well. You can increase your profits without raising your prices in real life batch production operations that are similar to farm business. So in the factory operation, for instance, is similar to a farm business because you produce in batches. Okay, you have cycles of production. In the poultry house, you are turning out layer birds in a cycle of maybe about 1.5 years, or then you have a new batch of birds, but the eggs will come out on a monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis. So that's batch production process, just like a factory turning out products daily, weekly, monthly, and all of that. So such production systems lend themselves to effective and efficient management if you apply yourself intelligently. So the first way to your farm profits, all right, without raising your prices, is by reducing your variable costs. All right. So in other words, you need to aim to spend less to produce the same volume of farm products, or to achieve the same farm output. So I'm talking now about your routine expenses that you use to keep your farm business running. So you need to, for instance, identify items that are responsible for up to 80% of your total expenses. So we're looking at it, I think it's called the Pareto principle now. So 80% of your expenses, all right, you look for whatever may be responsible for them, all right, and then think of ways to spend less on those items that you're spending 80% of the time on. You understand? Okay, without negative results. So you want to look at maybe gently reducing your expenses on those things and seeing if you can maintain, all right, the farm output and quality and all that, or looking at other alternatives you can use that you can spend money on that will give you the same result, but you wouldn't cost as much as those items. Those are things we'll talk about. So you, for instance, explore, as I said, alternative feed ingredients. You could use, for instance, cassava as a replacement for maize to some extent. You can most likely not be able to. It depends on what you're producing. If you're producing livestock that need carbohydrate source, maize is always going to be a superior source of nutrients to cassava, but cassava could play a role as a kind of to supplement, all right, and there are ways you can strike a balancing act in that regard. So you need to find out how to do that. Things like maggot meal being used to replace fish meal, or as has happened today in today's world now, black soldier fly. Anybody that knows about anything about running the farm business today knows that it is an intelligent thing for you to do, to start a black soldier fly production unit on your farm and produce as much black soldier fly larvae and other byproducts as possible to supplement the feeding of your livestock, and even to help your crop farm, using frass that's produced from the system. So alternatives to traditional fish meal, black soldier fly has been proven to offer equivalent protein content. So it's a viable replacement for fish meal, and fish meal is so expensive now. So that's one way to go about it. You could also talk about earthworm farming, maggot meal, and all of that. All right. So that's how those are ways to practically reduce, the expenses you are making on routine farm inputs. All right. So you could also consider barter exchange. That's another way to reduce your variable cost. So I learned this from Bob Dubin, mentor of international speakers. He's 98 years old now, still kicking strong. He said barter is smarter, and it was from him I learned to think like that. I never thought like that before. You don't have to pay cash for everything. All right. Your staff, will they accept, for instance, off-spec farm products of equivalent naira value? I mean, think of it. If somebody had to go to the market right now to buy eggs, one egg goes for around 70, 80 naira now. One egg. This used to go for 30 naira. Now, if you have farm hands, they will not even think to go and buy eggs on their own using their pocket money. Using their salary. But if you give them, you have a special reward program where they get some kind of bonus for doing a good job in form of products that have actually not met the standard for sales. So for instance, maybe you don't want any broken egg, you don't want cracked eggs, you keep those aside and you accumulate them at the end of the week or the month or at the end of the day. You say, oh, so and so person gets them at the end of the week as a reward for doing XYZ. That provides an incentive. Okay, but at the same time, it makes sure that you don't lose money, because normally you wouldn't be able to sell the cracked eggs for normal price. So you could actually say, okay, in exchange for cash bonus, take farm product that did not meet standard, so that minimizes the amount of cash that's going out of our coffers. All right, so that's, you could save thousands of dollars or naira on wages. Then you could pay them over time using such products as well, maybe leftover feed stuff and things like that they might have some livestock at home they want to feed as well. You let them have that, all right, as kind of payment for overtime. So you come on overtime, there's anything left over, you get to take it away, so long as it's maybe spilled, wastages, things like that. What about your suppliers? I've had some clients who paid me in kind for 50% of my service fee. In other words, they were supposed to pay 100,000, for example. I let the person pay me 50,000 naira cash, and then the remaining 50,000 naira they gave me from a product. I've had people give me cockerels like that, about 25 cockerels at that time, and the supplier, he brought it right from Ofada area outside Lagos, on the outskirts of Lagos, and he brought it to me at the beggar in front of the road safety office. My son picked them up and we brought them home, and that was 50,000 naira worth at that time. So you can imagine what that could have meant for him, because he wanted to get rid of those birds. He and his wife were rearing the cockerels, and they hadn't made the sales, and December was about to end. Going into the new year, they were feeding those birds every day. It was crazy. So they needed to get rid of them, but they didn't have the cash to pay me either. So I helped them to kill two birds with one stone. So you could use barter exchange also to reduce your expenses. That's the point I'm making. So they got to keep their cash. Another way to boost your profits without raising your prices is to reduce the cost of your sales. So how much does it currently cost you to sell off your market ready products? Some farmers place expensive advertisements in newspapers, and I always tell them, unless you find a way not to pay cash, I consider it a waste of money. You don't have the money to throw around newspapers. They're crazily expensive. So why do you want to spend your money placing ads in newspapers? Anybody that does that, I think they should check it. If it's somebody that's running a farm business on behalf of investors, the investors should put a question mark on his competence as a business manager. In today's world, don't do that. Some farmers have lamented to me that market women, the buyers who are market women, often hold them to ransom at harvest time. They sometimes have to therefore sell their eggs at unprofitable rates when there's supposedly a so-called glut in the market. You know about the egg glut. And I've told them that the simple and effective solution is to simply reach out to owners of facilities that routinely, regularly, buy that kind of fine product that you are struggling to sell, that those market women are trying to hold you to ransom on. Go out and do your marketing. You are a marketer first and an expert second. That's what Bob Dubin says. I agree with him. My life's experience and the results I've gotten, the success I enjoy. All right, the success I enjoy is because I follow that rule that Bob Dubin stated. You are a marketer first and an expert second. So even if though you love farming and it's your life, understand that you must develop your marketing and selling skill. If you don't do it, you are going to struggle. Now, one of the best ways to market and sell is to build relationships for the medium to long term with people who need your products on a regular basis. Keyword there, regular basis, not one-off buyers. The people who constantly need your product are your best bet if you are going to be in business for the long term. Establish a relationship with them where they see you as a preferred provider of that product, and you are home free. Then you agree a good price with them. Make sure that the people that have integrity and that they will pay you your money as and when you, or better still, find a way to get at least 80% of your money up front. If they won't agree to it, well, see if you can risk it, but I would advise don't go for it, because you are dealing with perishable products and you cannot afford any risk. The minute you supply to somebody and you use up the product, there's no incentive to pay you. So if you've not gotten your money, you are in soup. So you've got to be careful how you do this. I'm talking about the issue of teaming up with people. All right. So from working with hotel and restaurant clients, I know that they often pay 2 to 3 times more than what farmers get paid on the farm by these women that come to buy from them. So why not sell directly to the farm? To hotel and restaurant owners, bars, they sell pepper soup and all that. For those of you that produce catfish, why can't you do that? Even the other kind of agri produce, most of these hotels have kitchens and they use these things. Bars also make some quick foods for people. There are canteens and all that. They buy food on a regular basis. If you form the habit, drive around in your car, arrange for your staff to talk to people in their neighborhood. Before you know what's happening, you can build up some demand, and maybe one of your staff can be a mini distributor that you pay an extra amount of money or a commission to supply to all those people in the neighborhood. And see, before you know what's happening, there could be a regular supply to that area, and suddenly you can plan to distribute your product to that end, knowing that you're going to get your money. Build long-term relationships with people who need your product on a regular basis. That way you get rid of exploitative buyers. All right. Another thing is that apart from even taking the product to them, you can actually get some people to come and pick them up from you if you give them a good price, if they know they're getting a bargain from you, and you can do your calculation. That's why it's good to have your data analyzed and properly summarized and collected. If you are doing a proper capturing of your production and your selling data, it is very possible for you to look at how you'll be able to allow people to get a lower price if they pick it up from you, and you still make good profits, because you remove the stress of looking for buyers. I mean bulk buyers now, because bulk buyers enable you to get your money once, and then you can just turn it around and start another production cycle. So look for a way to get them to come to the farm, make an offer to them. I know somebody who did that in Ibadan. He put an ad on nairaland.com, and he put pictures of big eggs, and he said he wasn't supplying small eggs, and you had to initially, he would bring the eggs to you. He had a boss he was doing that, and then at a point he told people they could start booking, and he began to book. Then some took up the offer to come to his farm and pick it up, and he gave them a discount for that. Next thing he knew, he didn't even have to go out to anybody's farms anymore, because people were gladly coming to pick up the bulk of all the eggs he was producing. So it's very possible. It's just up to you to do the work. But stop thinking that you are a producer only. You've got to understand you are a business owner, you are an entrepreneur. You've got to invest time and effort into marketing and selling. You have to, if you want to succeed, right, with the ideas I'm giving you here, right? Another thing you can do, by the way, if anybody is talking about, maybe when I go out and talk to them, people might say no, and I don't want to deal with rejection. Get real. You can't be in business and not deal with rejection. There's nothing to be scared of. Okay, you just need to know what to say and how to say it. Now, as a business owner, you must develop your selling skills. I've told you, I'm saying it again. Now, if you need help knowing how to say it and what to say, I can help you. I can help you create resources, and I can also coach you on how to use them. Indeed, I can teach you a way, a technique, and help you develop it and implement it that will enable you to minimize what you have to say and how you say it, and will still get people to reach out to you. All right. It will increase your chances of getting somebody to sign up for what you're trying to do, which is to recruit them to come and buy from you, even by coming to pick it up on your farm. All right. Another way you can boost your profits without increasing your prices is to increase your farm output by innovating inexpensively. So you need to, for instance, explore ways to increase your farm animals' performance without spending money. A good example would be, and this is real, I've actually seen this. There are some farmers I saw in Lagos who use cooked and mashed chicken intestine. They will actually put it in this, big tins, drums. I don't know what you call them now, for vegetable oil, the tins, and they'll put it on top of charcoal fire, and they'll just put all the chicken intestines in it and just cook it and then crush it. Okay, sometimes they'll use Indomie noodles waste, all right, to supplement what's fed, and they use it to feed their catfish. They'll just throw it into the ponds for adult catfish now. All right, now the rapid growth they got, the weight gains they picked up, with the catfish picked up, was something that enabled them to arrive at table size much faster. And that got them much, I can imagine, fish flesh. Okay, the feed to flesh conversion ratio was much higher, at less cost. Okay, making them more profits. So you can do something similar. You can experiment with different kinds of zero to low cost feed stuff, because the chicken intestine was more or less a waste that they were using. Now the black soldier fly is an alternative to that, and black soldier fly is even more healthy. The chicken intestine had a lot of fatty stuff that tended to mess up the ponds, and then maybe for other animals use it for pigs and all that too. So it's kind of the ones who compete for it. But the black soldier fly is something you can produce on your own, and you can use waste to produce it. So you can imagine the possibilities. I keep returning to BSF because it's so critical. Today is one of the most inexpensive ways to generate high quality protein for your livestock, and even, like I said, to generate things that can boost your crop farm productivity, because you get the frass, which is organic fertilizer, from it as well as a byproduct. All right, another way you can boost your profits without raising your prices is to measure, monitor, and manage your farm's key performance indicators, or KPIs. Right? There's a saying that in statistics, you cannot manage something if you do not measure it, nor can you measure it if you do not record it. I think it's self-explanatory. You cannot manage something if you do not measure it. Okay? Nor can you measure it if you do not record it. Right? So an article I published about at that time, maybe about I think it was 2009 or so that I published it. Gave an explanation of how to compute KPIs like mortality. These are farm KPIs now, poultry farm KPIs, mortality rate, hen day percentages, feeding rates. They were crucial indicators of performance of any commercial poultry layer enterprise. All right. Now, other livestock businesses have their own KPIs that can be used to accurately measure and control the performance of the enterprise. So, using a simple spreadsheet tracking system, you can open a spreadsheet and use it. But there's also automated spreadsheet like the products I offer. You see them at the end of this video. You can conveniently train the KPIs you are measuring and you're calculating to better understand your farm business, to see the peaks and troughs, to see what is responsible for the peaks and troughs you discover. Now that will equip you to detect waste points or negative trends and take timely corrective action, because it shows you a pattern of performance. Now sometimes you will make discoveries that will help you to identify and stop things like pilfering by your staff, or even by outsiders who are probably coming into your farm when you've all gone home. Now all of this will increase your farm output and profits. Right? Most people don't relate to Excel very well, but if you like help, or you need help to create a simple spreadsheet to record and monitor your farm's data and KPIs, you can get in touch with me. I have some products. You see some of them at the end of this video, but at the same time I will help you create something customized, maybe something small if you want that as well. And the fifth way to boost your profits without raising your prices on your farm is to develop and implement what I call a best operating process management system, BOPMS. Now this last strategy involves bringing together the first four methods I mentioned to you, and doing a little bit more than that. Now farm businesses are batch production processes. I said that at the beginning. Now with poultry, you can start from chicks to growers to pullets to layers and all that, different stages. A BOPMS requires the establishment of a standard operating procedure that will make your farm run optimally, regardless of who is on duty. Think about that, because people will come and go, but you need a system that is kind of stable. You need stability in an enterprise like livestock farming, because you want to have consistent output. Therefore, you want the operations that are carried out on the farm enterprise to be consistent. So it means you must make them independent of whoever is on duty. You need a BOPMS for that to happen. Now, for instance, you need to create work instructions document that details approved steps to be followed by each operative in carrying out specific farm tasks. The objective will be to ensure that each task is done the same way every time. Once you do it the same way every time, then the results are likely to be more consistent. Now, once that becomes a habit, you find that errors will be reduced and your operations will run smoothly for longer periods. When fewer disruptions occur, in other words, when the operations are running consistently and in a smooth manner, your livestock will settle into a rhythm and their output will become quite consistent, and they will actually reach their peak capacity and tend to stay there longer because there's no disruptions, so things are steady. So the body adjusts and then there's nothing that throws them off track. That will translate to increased output and sales and of course profits. Now these strategies are actually endorsed by a well-known guru. Everybody knows Peter Drucker. He said something which shows that what I've just described to you is the right way to think and to go about achieving this outcome. Because, I'm quoting him now, because his purpose is to create a customer. The business enterprise has two and only these two basic functions: marketing and innovation. Marketing and innovation produce results. All the others are costs. If you think about all the things I've mentioned, the 5 things I've mentioned here, you see that they either touch on marketing and innovation or both. All right, and those strategies are therefore in line with Peter Drucker's thinking. To increase your farm profits, you need to make marketing and innovation more of a priority on your farm or in your farm business. It's simple common sense. All right, that's probably why many people fail to adopt it, because it's so simple, but hopefully after you've listened to this, you do get it and you will do it. All right, if you need help making use of these ideas, or you need help developing an application that can be used for it, or you need to get one of my products, just reach out to me using the contact details on your screen. I wish you well.